concentrate on starter pipe, not end of pipe solutions. Bottles and films should be treated differently. I'll explain why we need plastic films for food preservation and why plastic films for food and product packaging need to be biodegradable, and why we will require government action to make the change. Right. Scottish recycling was started in 1999 and by two Aberdeen people, and it went into voluntary liquidation after 14 months. Oh, which one? Oh, this one. Oh, right. Actually, okay. Right. I received £12,000 from Aberdeen's council, thanks very much, from landfill tax credits to help them design fence posts.
Sorry, Bob. For the online room, we're just seeing your the PowerPoint slide file. It's not on the same slide as it is in the room. The display is a bit funny.
Let me just stop it and I'll stop it and share it again. Is that better?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks.
Cool. Okay, thanks. Instead of handing back the money, my spec was changed, so I asked it to be changed to starting a waste plastics recycling business and using lessons from this failed project. In the report which I produced, this is a report, 4 of the 5 reviewers felt it was too negative. One reviewer thought it was too positive. He was the guy who ran a plastics manufacturing company, and he felt I was too positive. Anyway, I retired then, and 20 years later, nothing really much has been done. I got interviewed by the Guardian newspaper and John Vidal, and there's really been very little recycling done since of plastic. There is some going on, and they reckon, some statistical outfit reckon about 12% of the plastic we use is actually recycled. The plastics bottle manufacturers and retailers, they are very biased in my view, and they look after their own interests. Their agenda is to sell more drinks and bottles, more turnover, more income. And if they see things like deposits actually reducing the number of bottles sold, they don't like that. So basically what government needs to do is to check out research solutions for minimizing plastic wastes, confer with industry, and then impose solutions regardless of citizens' opposition. I think government confuses manufacturers and so on as being competent and technically, which is correct, but they're also biased. The good thing about helping plastic being recycled is that landfill tax and gate fee on any waste is now £132 a tonne, so this encourages the recycling process. I'm going to concentrate on plastic bottles in this first section and yogurt-type containers. And the problem with recycling plastic is that for the new colour to hide mixed colours, you need a strong dye. You can see this lady holding up a plastic which has been dyed deep purple, so as to hide the other colours. The problem is if you recycle it again, you've got to hide this even darker colour, so you've got a problem. There's also a fire risk from storage and processing and arson. This picture is from a 30,000 tonne plastic recycling place in Derby. All it needs is somebody to throw in a firework and off it goes. The third thing is that polymer types don't like each other. They don't tend to mix. So if they're 1, 2, 3, 4, they won't stick together. If you've ever tried cementing plastics, and mending your daughter's plastic toy, you realize that they don't stick together. Now, when you got virgin polymers, they're £1,000 a ton for the new stuff. The councils, they will bail up the bottles and sell them. And what they'll get for the containers is for a clear PET bottles, about £308 a ton. That's one. The 1 and 2 are these numbers of the plastics. Natural HDPE, £770 a ton. Mixed color HDPE is around £400 a ton. Mixed polypropylene are about £60 a ton. And then you got colored PET and you got colored mixed polymers, which is a lower price, so £30 a ton and £115 a ton. I suggest in the future we have to stop using these ones and go for just the first 4, and they should be single colored. So basically we're going for, instead of having an end of pipe solution, which is what we've got at the moment, where mixed polymers and colors, plastics go in one end, what you get at the other end is to separate out all these plastics. You need NIR, which is near infrared reflectance separators, which are complex, but you can tell one plastic from the other. You need flotation separation, and you need ACA litter pickers to go and pick up the plastic from the beaches and so on. So it's really not satisfactory, this. What you want is to restrict the polymers going into society into the 4 types. And so you've got a simple separation system for PET bottles, HDPE, natural multicolored bottles, HDPE white bottles, and then polypropylene bottles and containers. So a sustainable solution for plastic bottles and containers is you need to aim for 100% recovery. So basically, you're going for a circular economy, and there's going to be virtually no waste. And the only way you can get this is to use deposits. Studies all over the world, it needs to be deposits on containers to get that. If you don't have that, you get recycling systems which are about 45 to 50%. Carlsberg, for interestingly, showed that plastic beer bottles could be reused 15 times. This is an alternative approach. We love getting shiny, nice new bottles, but at the end of the day, when they're floating in the rivers, it's not a great system. The bottles must be clear or white and use color paper labels, which wash off during reprocessing. So the plastic is one color and the advertising so on is all on paper, which will be multicolored. And you have to restrict the polymers to these 4 that we mentioned before. There's a conflict when you got deposit return scheme with council schemes. So you got a council scheme with a recycling bin, but if you got a reverse vending machine, individuals can either put the bottle in the bin, or they can put it in the reverse vending machine and get a 20p deposit. If the DRS takes off, you get fewer bottles in the bin, so the council's unhappy because the bin's not got plastic bottles in, and that's what makes some of the money. And there's could be a problem at small corner shops for reverse vending. So I think corner shops tend to be allowed off, but they should usually be in the, with supermarkets and so on, and take back bottles. Okay, that's bottles. When we're now on to plastic films, you got some biscuits here, and I'm giving you them. If you haven't got it now, you can get it later. But if you look at the thing, the wrappings, that I want you to do what they ask you to do. You don't need to eat them, but we just look at them, and you can eat them. But you try to get these wrappers off and without breaking them up. Fundamentally, the plastic's too thin to make recycling viable. You can make, if we make them compostable instead of oil-based, you can put it in the compost bin. If they ban, a lot of these wrappers have got aluminium coating, which makes them more vapor resistance. But if these aluminium film backings are disallowed because of pollution, then you can actually would have to stop using aluminium, and the shelf life of these biscuits will be shorter. Why plastic product packaging is so useful is you got this something like this with croissants. The box protects the croissants from damage. You get multiple items in one pack. It could be grapes or whatever it is. It's convenient to pop into your trolley, and the plastic minimizes dehydration. Sainsbury's, we're in Sainsbury's the other day. They got a veg box scheme. The problem with that is the vegetables rapidly dry out if they've got no coating. So if they're not within the film. Some of these will be okay, pineapples, peppers, and eggplant, but the rest dry out. So it's not a satisfactory way of marketing fresh produce in warm stores. What we need to change the approach to is to have a thing like this. You get a wax paper or bagasse tray for raspberries, say. Bagasse is made from wood fiber or from sugar cane pulp, and it goes into a fiber type box. But a paper is alternative, but Phoebe will tell you more about this. So what you've got is that the biodegradable plastic put over the container, and this gives you, prevents you from having the moisture loss. So this is the way to go. The system is already there. We're doing it with tomatoes, but with oil-based plastic as a coating. So we want to get rid of that oil-based plastic, and the container is compostable because it's made of paper or bagasse. The great thing about composting and anaerobic digestion is it turns organic waste to fertilizer. If you've got cardboard, wood cutlery, peelings, meat and bones, out-of-date waste food, if you put it into a composter, it disappears into crumb. So immediately that can go as a fertilizer on the land, or you can make it into a peat substitute or whatever. But this is a natural system which this fertilizes the next crops in your production cycle. If you have plastic films, styrofoam, plastic trays, and so on, it just stays the same. So you got this problem. So we must go for biodegradable. Biodegradable plastics are made from plant materials, seaweed, maize, PLA, etc. Phoebe's going to talk more about this. In the past, some were not truly compostable. There's a lot of greenwashing, and people were climbing on the bandwagon. And some only break down at the compost in 70 degrees C. you know, that's a plant like Keenan's. His goes to 70 degrees C. But I put in everything I can find that's biodegradable, claimed to be, into my garden composter. And now, at one stage, half of it is not decomposing. Now, everything's decomposing, so they are improving. But basically, shops that are selling the stuff should only sell stuff which is using this home compost logo. And why this is important is that if it drops, the plastic drops as litter, it will decompose at room temperature. So it's the way we have to go, in my view. The thing about biodegradable plastic is we've got to phase them in because we don't want ordinary plastic to be in the mix. So the government's got to announce a date for food and packaging films. And similar, I've got some B&Q packs and things. These were all to go biodegradable. And we've got to make a date, say 2030. We got to replace the small food caddies that people use, like in the Shire, with larger brown bins for food and compostable packaging, just for the capacity, because with putting the packaging in there, we got a bigger capability of amount of stuff going in there. If food packaging waste is going to a composter, it can include garden waste too. If it's going to an anaerobic digester, you can't put the garden waste there too. And the householders can use their own food and waste and packaging in their own garden. You know, I do this. We don't put out any vegetables into Keenan's. It all goes into our own garden. And I don't put on any fertilizer into my garden. So the future bin the allocation, when anaerobic digestion is available, would be residual waste bin, bottles, cans, and paper and card in the recycling bin, and food and biodegradable packaging in the brown bin. If you're going to home compost, I think you're probably going to need a shredder to shred the stuff up, because you need to mix that with food, because what you're doing is you're actually providing meals for bacteria, fungi, and biota. And so it needs, just like you have meat, potatoes, and, or some of you don't, meat, potatoes, and veg, then the bugs need meat, potatoes, and veg, or a mixed diet anyway. Now, in the UK, there's anaerobic digesters all over. There's also some limited number of compost plant. In this diagram here, there's green ones and blue ones. And the blue ones are just producing electricity and gas for electricity from the gas they produce, and the residue goes to fertilizer. So you deliver the food and compostable packaging to AD plants. They're shredded at the plant to make them into a balanced diet. The methane goes to gas grid, because I should say that the green ones are all, anaerobic digesters are all connected to the gas grid. So they can be used for home heating or for any people that want gas to burn. Because as you all understand, anaerobic digesters don't produce CO2. Is that right? I'll leave it to the discussion. Why don't they produce that? And they're digested from the anaerobic digesters. They're mostly on farms and things, so that the digestate, which is a lot of liquid, can go to land. This is an advert in the materials recycling world by Keenan, the brave teal that he is. He's offering to compost or to anaerobic digest waste from anywhere in England, and he will organize this for you. If waste is free of oil-based plastic, it can digest packaging too. At the moment, he can't take packaging, but if we could go on to biodegradable packaging, he can digest that stuff too. We've established a circular economy, and as I say, what makes the packaging is maize or seaweed, and it's made into packaging material, and then it's used as a food stock for the bacteria in these anaerobic digester or compost. So the take-home messages, this is for you to do. You can start tomorrow, Rachel. Get your milk delivered in reusable glass bottles. These are our bottles. You can see how many times they've been used by the wear on the bottle. If you got shampoo or mayonnaise or something like that, don't throw it away when the mayonnaise doesn't come out. You put a wee bit of water in it, flush it around, and finish off the mayonnaise with a bit more dilute or the shampoo. And then when it comes to processing, they don't have to have all this goo from your unused shampoo, whatever it is. You buy products wrapped in paper or biodegradable plastic. My wife is fantastic at doing this. Stop buying unnecessary beauty products. Ladies, you're just beautiful as you are. You don't need to coat yourself in guns. Don't buy bottled water and drink less carbonated drinks, and keep all films out of the food waste until you're told otherwise, or until all films are biodegradable. So in conclusion, we must select bottles and packaging with their reuse or disposal in mind. Don't be mindless or want a Coke, so keep this in mind. The government needs to restrict polymer types and color, and they must interfere here if we're going to get a beginning of pipe solution. We need to go to deposit return scheme to get 95% recovery. There's 51 countries and states in America who have what they call bottle bills. There's no reason why we can't be the 52nd state. Packaging needs to use paper bagasse containers with thin sealed compostable films, and films must compost at normal temperatures so that if they're dropped as litter, they will decay. Okay, thank you.
You can stop recording, please.
Right, fine.